deep sense of aliveness and peace. The purring of the cat. The cat is in touch with something very beautiful when it purrs. It's a sense of delight in being alive. Bliss. And humans can have that also, and I'm not talking about a superficial feeling of, oh, isn't that great? I'm not even talking about being happy all the time. Everything's soft. There are no problems. And it's not pretending. It's not saying, oh no. No, it's deeper than that. The possibility of living from a deeper place than the stream of thinking. And from there comes whatever you need on the level, the external level, even in your future, comes out of that. If you are connected with that inner, any word that we use is a limitation, of course, of it. That's why in India, just to get some approximation of what this is, they use 3 words and string them together as if it were one to describe the state of connectedness with being. The 3 words are Sat Chit Ananda. Sat means being, the delight of being, the delight of life, which nature has. But when we look at nature, we always see the struggle for survival. Yes, that also exists on the level of form, but there's also the delight in life that everything in nature, every animal and every plant still has. And I have observed birds, other animals, and I see how they delight in doing. They're not continuously fighting or looking for food. Yes, also, they're also looking for food. There are many times when they're simply delighted. When the eagle soars from where I live, I sometimes observe eagles high overhead. Their wings stretched out, they hardly ever move. They use the air so skillfully that they don't need to make any effort. They can be for 20 minutes without ever moving their wings and just go. And they are not looking for food. I looked at them. They're not looking for anything. They're in a state of delight. Just watching. Consciousness, the one consciousness expressing itself through this form and delighting in the life of form that it observes, that it is part of. Sat, being, the delight of being alive, which is more than that. There is only one perspective on it. Chit, consciousness. To know yourself not as thought, which is a form that consciousness takes, to know yourself as that which underlies all thought, out of which every thought and every emotion comes, that which allows the thought and the emotion to be there, which is consciousness itself before it becomes something, before it becomes a thought or an emotion or a body or a sense of me or a flower or an animal or the earth the sun or the galaxy, before it is born into form, the moment prior to what scientists call the Big Bang, which is the birth of form, of the universe, before the birth of form, scientists are puzzled. They cannot work out, okay, it all started with the Big Bang. Now, but what was there before that? If there was nothing, where did it all come from? If you start thinking about it, you will soon go mad. How did the whole universe come out of nothing? If there was nothing, out of complete empty space. Now that realm, the strange thing is, that which was there before the Big Bang, out of which the entire universe arose, was never lost and still dwells in each form as the innermost essence of that form. And the Buddhists call that emptiness. Form is emptiness, emptiness is form. And that is in you also. That is the dimension that is unconditioned, timeless, no past, no future, eternal, which does not mean goes on and on. It means no time, not endless time. Eternal does not mean endless time. It means no time, not subject to time. Consciousness itself. And all that humans know, most humans, all they know is the objects that arise in their consciousness, which is the world of form, the world of birth and death. They know the objects, sense objects, mental objects that arise continuously, and most humans are identified only with that they know nothing else. So they know only the world of form, the conditioned, time-bound, past, future. On a personal level, all they know is their life situation and the continuous stream of thinking. That's what a life. Now, if we want to use theistic language, we could say, you're totally concerned with the world and you don't know God. God not as an entity, controlling entity somewhere in space. No. But that, the unmanifested life out of which the entire world of manifestation arises. The unmanifested that contains everything in a state of oneness. So your life is totally incomplete no matter what you achieve on the level of form, and everybody who has achieved great things on the level of the world knows that after a little while you feel elated for a little while when you suddenly become a VIP and see your picture in magazines or whatever it is, and then after a little while it feels the same old things come creeping back. Not enough, fear, I might lose it, what do they think, my reputation, the stock market, what's going to happen to me? And deep down they know that all their achievements are going to leave them unless they leave them first. It's either the question of I leave the stock market, which means I die before it all collapses, or it collapses while I'm still alive. In either case, it's all going to leave. Oh my God. And the famous actor or actress knows that deep down that my appearance isn't going to last, and eventually they won't want to see me anymore. Oh. So whatever you achieve on the level of form cannot satisfy for long. The not enough remains. The sense of insufficiency remains. So you forgot something. You forgot an entire half of life, one could almost say. You've got the manifested half. This is only a temporary way of putting it. Don't get attached to it. There's the manifested half, and you entirely neglected the unmanifested. You paid all your attention to the world, but nothing to God. And don't get attached to that, please. Another way of putting it, you could say, if in this room, you see all the objects in this room, the people, the ceiling, the lights, and so on, and the objects absorb your attention, this and that, oh, look at that, and that, and that, and that, and then the walls and the ceiling, and you don't realize that the essence of this room is actually not the walls and the ceiling and whatever is in the room, but the space itself. Without the space, it would be useless. There wouldn't be enough space to sit here. So when people describe the room, they would usually just describe the appearance of the ceiling, the walls, and so on, perhaps give you the measurements. Forget to mention the space completely, because they are not aware of it. That the very essence they didn't mention. This room is worthless if you just put together the objects in the room. And so in each human being, there's the equivalent of that. There are the objects that make up your consciousness, all the thought movements and the emotions. They're born and they die. They're born and they die. Like. And so in most cases, that is what absorbs your attention completely, and don't realize that underneath the continuous movement of thought, there is a spaciousness, a sense of stillness. Another pointer. Stillness, spaciousness, aliveness, delight, ananda, bliss, delight, being, consciousness, bliss, Satchit Ananda, is living in connectedness with that. More than that, knowing yourself as that, not as something that arises in you and takes form. You are the infinite space. The entry point into that is always the present moment. The point of entry into that dimension in yourself is this moment. Now, to be in this moment truly, you need to allow this moment to be. And that's for most humans an unusual thing to do. Because most people live in such a way, and you have to be aware of it if it happens in you. They live in such a way as if, and what I'm saying now you can immediately recognize as a form of insanity. They live in such a way as if the present moment were an obstacle that they need to overcome. And most part of their lives is they are trying to overcome the obstacle of this moment, which means they need to get to the next one where they believe this obstacle will have disappeared. The next moment, which of course never arrives, because your entire life can only ever be this moment, which then remains a continuous obstacle that you need to get beyond, but never get beyond. If that's not insanity, what is? But it's normal. So we don't need to be good at mathematics, which I'm not, to then find the equation normal equals insane. Maybe a little bit extreme, but ultimately true. If normal were not insane, human history would be very different from the way it is. If normal were not insane, what you would hear on the news would be different from what you hear every day on the news. Well, so the present moment then is not an obstacle. The present moment is not my enemy, another way of putting it. I don't want this. This shouldn't be happening. I don't want to be here. I don't want to have to deal with this. Why isn't it? Why are we still waiting here? Why? When is it going to happen? What's the next thing you have to do? Have you done that? Why haven't you done that? Come, the next thing and the next thing. Go into families, see how they talk to their children. They're almost breathless because they're always running after the next thing and they're telling their children to do the same thing. Okay, now deal with, have you done that? Come on, do it. And then if they get totally exhausted, they sit in the sofa and then switch on the screen. And what they watch on the screen is the people going through that same behavior. But for a moment it feels good because it sends you into a kind of semi-trance-like state because they have their problems and they're not mine. But nobody questions whether to live like that is sane or not. Very rarely. Occasionally these days, the truth comes through here and there, even through the media, occasionally, in certain films, occasionally, even on television, occasionally. But mostly, it's a reflection of the collective dysfunction of the human mind. So this moment, this is the theme of our retreat. Throughout the retreat, and the times when you're not here are as important as the times when you're here. And that's the only way of putting it, because no matter whether you sit here whether you're walking from here to your room, or whether you're sitting in your room or in the dining hall, or amongst the beautiful trees, the trails, the lake. It's always now. I can guarantee and predict that no matter where you find yourself here, it will be this moment. Now, our retreat here is to find out, to be attentive, to be alert, in order to know what your relationship is, so to speak, with the present moment. While you're here, in the moment, what is your relationship to this moment? Are you embracing it, whatever form it takes? The forms change. A new person appears in front of you. The mouth opens, speaking happens. Then the person goes. Then steps happen. A tree is there. The beautiful colors. And the next thing comes. What is your relationship to this moment? Particularly, see if you can detect any way in which you avoid this moment, where you are ahead of the moment to some future moment. That could be when you're walking between here and your room, that mentally you're already in your room doing what you're going to do there. And you don't see, while you walk, this beautiful moment, the incredible beauty around you. You don't see it at that moment because you're already doing in your room what you're going to do there. Or even worse, you're thinking about what you will have to do when you get home, back to your life situation, and the dilemma and the problems. Where's the now? What now? No, I need to get home to deal with all that stuff. What am I still doing here? And then you wake up at that moment and you discover your relationship to the present moment. It was one of denial. You don't exist. You're not important at all. Something else is more important. It's some future moment. And that's what I need to think about. The future, of course, is only a mind form. The only place where you can ever encounter the future is in your head. This is such a revolutionary thought, a revolutionary realization, and not even the greatest scientists or philosopher could argue with that. The only place where you ever encounter the future is in your head. Well, yeah, it has to be. Of course it's true. And this, of course, also applies to the past. The only place you can ever encounter the past is in your head. And yes, also to some extent as an emotional accumulation in your body, but even that you can only feel at this moment. But whenever you remember the past, it's only the power of now, your consciousness now, that is bringing it to life. You can only think of it now. You cannot think of the past yesterday. And what you think of didn't happen in the past, because nothing can happen in the past. You can't. Now is the prerequisite for being, for life. There's no life apart from now. There cannot be. And now what this now is, we will go into deeper and deeper here. It's in you. There's such depth to now. And whenever we talk about now, we have to approach it through language. Through language which is based on time. Every word, every sentence. And so contradictions arise because we are using something from the world of time to describe something that is beyond time. And then even when I say we are going to go deeper into the now, it sounds a little silly. But that's an inevitable contradiction that arises. It's only because we're using words. But to truly see that there is no future apart from this moment. There is that the future that you think is so threatening or important that you need to sort out has no existence. And if you realize the primordial importance of the present moment, make that the focal point of your life when we start with this retreat, and you may find that the quality of your life improves so dramatically when you are attentive to this moment and allow it to be. The quality of your life improves so dramatically, and quality is difficult, hard to define. There's then a quality in everything around you that you perceive, that you do. Even when you speak not out of denial of the present moment, but being fully rooted in the present moment, there's a quality to what you say, because the words, which are thoughts that become words, arise from a deeper level that you're now connected with when you say yes to this moment. That's the entire spiritual practice. See if you can be in a state of yes to this moment, no matter what form this moment takes. And because this moment takes on so many different forms, people have fallen into the delusion to think that their life consists of millions of moments, and another moment, and another moment, and that past moment, future. No, there's only one moment ever, but the form it takes changes. It continuously. So what is your relationship to this moment? Do you deny it? Do you resist it? Are you in a state of inner contraction? Want to be somewhere else in place?